Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this final episode of Lords of the Night. With me, as always, your Lord of Pain, me. I said that wrong.
No,
Well,
I did what Satsu did. The other day, Satsu introduced me as the Lord of Pennies, and I almost just did it to you, Scribbles.
You might as well go out with a bang then, since we're not going to be doing this anymore.
Yeah. Your Lord of Punishment. Say hi, Scribe.
Hi, Scribe.
And your Lord of Pennies. Say hello, Satsu.
Hello, Satsu.
I already introduced myself, so we're going to skip that. I was just saying to Satsu before the stream, if I was ever actually ready for a stream, I would be surprised. I'm always very hurried getting these things done. I forget shit all the time, and it leads to it's just my brain, you guys. I was going to find an excuse. I feel like I'm just wrong.
Generally speaking, yes.
On this April 1st, how are you, Scribe?
My dog died.
Ouch. Man.
If I had
You must not have had him very long.
No, like just now in my head for like the 3 seconds that it took me to come up with that line. Yeah.
Is it bad that I've already come up with a full scenario on how your dog died?
Tell me how my dog died.
You went to the pet store to get it.
Okay.
And you bought a leash and you were getting ready to get in your car with your new dog, and some cute girl came up to talk to you. So you chatted with her for a minute and tied your dog to your car, and then you drove home.
Okay.
And there was a bloody leash left over.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A bloody rope left hanging there.
A couple things wrong with that. A, I didn't go buy a dog. B, I don't own a car. And C, no pretty girl will come up and just talk to me out of the blue. It just doesn't happen.
Well, the part you're missing there is that you got the puppy as kind of a congratulations to yourself for buying a car.
Yeah.
Oh, and also as bait for women.
That's right.
Yeah,
it was
immediately pussy magnet.
And now I've turned it into a bloody collar at the end of my bumper.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I win.
Jordan, thank you so much for the dog cat fox. Did I do it right?
Yes, dog cat fox. Yay!
Dog cat fox.
Dog cat fox.
Thank you for the donation. And Satsu, how are you doing today, man?
I'm good. What? Hold on, my YouTube chat stopped working. Okay, that's weird.
Oh, mine was messing up earlier.
Yeah, it just stopped functioning, so I had to go over to the live comments. I got to go bring it back up now. I had a good day. We actually got Squeetus a playpen kind of thing to separate, from putting her in her bed, because we put her in her area where she usually sleeps, and we put her toys in there. So we got her this thing, and oh my God, I wish we would have recorded it. She is terrified of this thing.
Oh,
like terrified to the point to where, like, because it's big enough to where, like, I can get in it with her. She don't even like to be on the material, even if I'm in there with her. Like, if I'm right next to her, she literally climbs up me to get away from it. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I think I figured out what it was. I think it was the smell, weirdly enough, because I tried everything. To like get her in there and get her comfortable with it. She just was not having it. But once I put a blanket in there, one that we like frequently lay on or whatever, she was fine. So I'm like, it must be the smell, because it don't smell it like, it's got that brand new kind of, plastic smell to it. And the moment she hits it, if she catches a whiff of it, she's like, no, this is foreign. I don't like it. Get it away from me. We put that blanket in there and she's fine now. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool.
Babies can sense evil. You might have bought a portal to hell. I'm just throwing that out there.
I mean, it's where she came from, so it should feel like home, but whatever.
Oh God. And I've slept all day, so that's all we need to talk about me. Monkey Dick, Jim Jones, movies, video games. Hit that like button, you guys, and please share all of our stuff, because those guys actually put out content sometimes.
That's right.
Oh, you guys, I'm like less than 10 away from 1,000 over on my game channel.
Oh, nice.
Well, we got at least 10 people here.
I just want to be to the point where Susan can tell me I'm not allowed to be monetized because I swear too often.
All right. Well, if there's 10 people, If there's 10 people in here that aren't already subscribed to Ranting Monkey Games, go subscribe to Ranting Monkey Games right now. This I command.
I think the link's in the description. Moonshock says lots of buffering from time to time. Guys, YouTube has been shit since the virus because apparently they can't, handle everybody watching their stuff. With a stream like ours, feel free to turn your resolution all the way down to the minimum. It won't change the audio, and it might help with that kind of stuff. Exactly.
There's no point in having like 1080p on a Lords of the Night stream.
No. So anyway, has anything happened in the news today?
Yeah, a couple things, but looking through the bits and pieces on CNN, I just wanted to bring up. I guess I'm breaking format because it's kind of a deep topic discussion, but
that's fine.
Yeah, something is really bothering me lately with the whole quarantine thing, and it's just this attitude of all these little stories I see where people are just huffing their own farts about how deep and meaningful what they do to kill their boredom while in quarantine is just so remarkable. I take photos of my family. Here's how I've decided to use cooking to fight the pandemic. Here's the music I make when I'm alone. Like that stuff. It's just this like full of themselves. I'm like, who cares? I mean, it's the equivalent of like Instagramming out, here's the hot dog I ate today. You're like, who gives a shit? What is, people are so full of themselves right now. It's like, you're not doing anything different than a million other people. And like, oh, it's so deep and meaningful now that you're isolated. We're in this together. It's about community. It's like, no, it's just, shut up.
Hi, Squish. I get what you're saying. And I've seen a lot of that. And I did look, guys, if you are bored, there's lots of stuff you can do. Go to YouTube, find things on how to cook. Go watch Satsu's channel. Sure. You can learn lots of stuff right now.
Yes.
You're not changing the world doing it.
Exactly. It's like, oh, like this one thing. It's like pandemic photos foster community in spite of isolation. Oh, how brave. You're taking pictures, which nobody ever does in any other situation ever, and shares them. And they're like little pieces of artwork. Oh, and because it's an isolation of the pandemic, it's so more reflective of life and celebration of who we are as a community. Fuck off. Just stop it. Stop it. Nobody cares. I mean, how can you breathe with all of that fart in your throat all the time? Jesus.
Apparently I'm over 1,000 over there now. Thank you guys. I can't go look at it because my internet is being shit right now. So if my voice breaks up at all, that is entirely me, Scribbles, just so you know.
Well, here's the thing.
I appreciate it, guys. That's kind.
What we need is to get Monkey over 9,000, and then he can be a total Dragon Ball.
Over 9,000.
But anyway, I just wanted
all of my streams will just be a screenshot of my character for 5 hours.
Yes, and you thinking about what you're going to be doing in the next 2 seconds.
You guys are amazing. Thank you for that.
But I just wanted to bring that up because over and over again, it's like you see the quote unquote human interest stories and people just like, oh, the brave action of like shut up, just shut up. It's just annoying. So obnoxious.
I do want to bring up this in chat. Moonshock just said, but great news, everyone. My infusions are over and my cancer treatment is complete. Now it's just pills for 5 years. Great to hear, man. That is awesome.
Pills are better than chemo, I'll tell you what.
No shit. No, the other thing I saw this today because, of course, it is April Fool's Day. And there's a whole lot of people, including Google itself, like, we're going to take the year off of jokes.
Oh, yeah. There's no room for humor right now.
Am I the only one who thinks this is the time for some humor?
Yeah.
Go back and watch some great old funny movies. Cryptic, thank you. Satsu's been deliciously culturally appropriating. Yes, he has indeed.
Watch Outbreak and Contagion and laugh.
I feel like those are not the movies I was talking about, Scribe.
Whatever. It's fine.
But no, this notion that, hey, we have to be super somber all the time. No, you really don't. You really don't.
Yeah, it's depressing. I mean, we talked about it on the show all the time. It's like we look at the news. It's like there's nothing going on but coronavirus and stats and predictions and emergency. You need a break. And if you don't talk about doing things while in quarantine to try to escape the situation, laughing helps a lot. It really does. If you can find something that entertains you. And so whether it's us or, some George Carlin clip you find on YouTube, just do that. Like, oh, we can't make jokes right now. Oh, it's too soon. Whatever.
How do you expect me to laugh in Trump's America?
Well, Google actually, they usually do an April Fool's thing, and they came out and said they're not doing it this year. What is it, out of respect for the people fighting the pandemic?
Yeah.
Like, you don't think those people could use a laugh, dickhead?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, that all of this virtue signaling nonsense, you're not doing anything,
right,
other than being a douche.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to highlight people who are doing stuff, highlight the nurses and the doctors, the healthcare workers, the people that are actually like going out of their way without having been asked to make masks or ventilate or whatever. Those are the people you should be highlighting, not some idiot sitting in their apartment playing on the ukulele or something. Like, who gives a shit? Yeah, anyway. I could go on. More so than I already have. But anyway, I do have kind of two stories that aren't technically all about Corona. And that's saying something, guys, because every story is about Corona.
Right? Before you start, Cryptic, thank you. He says, laugh at jokes, especially mines. Thank you for the donation.
This isn't exciting news, but again, this is the pickings we have right now. FDA calls for heartburn drug Zantac to be pulled from market immediately.
Oh, wow. Why?
Well, Monkey, I will tell you. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration is requesting that manufacturers pull all prescription and over-the-counter ranitidine drugs, known by the brand name Zantac, from the market immediately. The FDA noted that an ongoing investigation has determined that levels of a contaminant in the heartburn medications increase over time and when stored at higher than normal temperatures pose a risk to public health. The contaminant N-nitrosodamethylamine, or NDMA, N as in Nancy, DMA, is a probable human carcinogen, and the FDA has been investigating levels of it in ranitidine since the summer of 2019. Quote, we didn't observe unacceptable levels of NDMA in many of the samples that we tested. Okay, so if you didn't. However, since we don't know how or for how long the product might have been stored, we decided that it should not be available to consumers and patients unless its quality can be assured. The FDA will continue our efforts to ensure impurities in other drugs do not exceed acceptable limits so that patients can continue taking medicines without concern. So there you go. You store this medicine in the wrong temperature for too long, and you could be taking nicotine pills, sort of.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, my heartburn's gone. My lungs are dying.
Yay! What a trade-off.
Here comes some lawsuits.
Oh, yeah. But there's that. And then what was it? Yesterday the CNN has taken it upon themselves to not attend the briefing.
Yes. As far as I understand it, Jim Acosta was there. They didn't cover it on their channel.
Well, here's day 2 of that kind of thinking. And this comes from Mediaite. I had to go to Mediaite to find something that wasn't Corona related directly. Shameless, CNN and MSNBC cut off briefing and rip Trump for touting an anti-drug trafficking effort during a coronavirus update. At different points of how about during? Anyway, at different points of Wednesday's White House press briefing on coronavirus, MSNBC and CNN not only cut away from the briefing, but criticized President Donald Trump for today's big focus on U.S. efforts against drug trafficking. The president said at one point, quote, as governments and nations focus on the coronavirus, there is a growing threat that cartels, criminals, terrorists, and other malign actors will try to exploit the situation for their own gain. And we must not let that happen. We will never let that happen. Today, the United States is launching enhanced counter-narcotics operations in the Western Hemisphere to protect the American people from the deadly scourge of illegal narcotics. We must not let the drug cartels exploit the pandemic to threaten American lives, unquote. When CNN cut away, Wolf Blitzer observed the White House was trying to, quote, change the focus, unquote. And John King went a little further. Quote, it is remarkable, Wolf, and some would say shameless. This is a coronavirus task force briefing. The country is in the middle of a pandemic. Americans are afraid. They are turning into I think he meant tuning, but it says turning. They're turning into these briefings to try to get information from the White House. If the United States military and the Justice Department are doing a better job keeping cocaine and other illicit drugs from getting into the country, congratulations. You can schedule an event at the Pentagon, the Justice Department, or in the White House briefing room if you think that's a big deal. Well, wait, John, guess where that announcement was made? In the White House briefing room. And you know what? Apparently, Trump thought it was a big deal. So, but call it what it is. Say we have a major announcement on the war on drugs. Instead, they walk out for the coronavirus task force meeting, and the president's trying to have a bit of political statement here, unquote.
Wait a minute. So these are the same people who are saying that he shouldn't even be having these briefings anymore and that nobody should be watching them because they are full of false information. And their complaint here is that people are going to them to watch them for information. And
Satsu.
this is disruptive.
Shush, Satsu. The
Well,
president's
don't forget,
only
these are the same.
hold on. The president's only concern is coronavirus. Nothing else is happening in the world or in the American government or in the president's purview other than coronavirus. How dare you, Satsu?
These are the same people who whine that he wasn't doing enough briefings and giving information. Fuck. First of all, that article's a little bit wrong because CNN, they may have cut away, but that's only after they came back because they weren't covering it. But more importantly, I get that some in our press don't like the president, but this is such a nitpicky, dumbass thing to whine about. It's not like he made the whole damn. He didn't make the whole thing about it. Hey, this is what's going on.
Meanwhile, on MSNBC, Chuck Todd cut into the briefing for similar reasons, telling viewers they would return when, quote, we get an update on the pandemic itself, unquote. Quote, it's certainly an interesting decision by the president to lead the task force with this, Todd added. Quote, if the president had important coronavirus news to tell us, I don't know, I would assume it must not trump this in his mind, unquote.
Ha ha.
Okay,
thank you. This is Kyle who says, hello, chat people, and LotN. Hello, sir.
LotN.
So he didn't talk about corona stuff at all during this briefing.
Oh, except for the fact that he was saying, hey, while this is going on, we're not being reticent in our attention to things that might come about because of it. It was corona related. And it's stuff that they're doing. And it's, hey, John King, the White House briefing room. And, hey, he apparently thought it was important enough to mention.
But didn't we just read a story about a whole bunch of fake remedies and shit? Like people putting out all this fake shit going around about cures that they have for the virus and all that stuff. Like we just read something about that, right?
No. People trying to take advantage of that to try to sell drugs. They're going to say that, no. Just stop it. Trump is wrong. Trump is bad. Everything he does that isn't what they want at that moment is wrong and bad. Just go with it.
If this is from the briefing yesterday.
No, this is from a briefing today.
That's today's briefing? Okay.
Yesterday was part 1. Today was part 2. Today's briefing was, hey, this is what we're doing, blah, 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 coronavirus task force. So this is brand new. This wasn't yesterday.
Okay. So, yeah, I haven't seen any of today's. So, it's just petty.
Oh, jeez. It's ridiculous.
There's a great little video by Matt Christensen today going over remember when everybody was afraid that Trump was going to be an authoritarian and now they're complaining that he's not authoritarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was somebody. What was it? Was it Politico? Yeah, it was Politico. The headline was Trump is an authoritarian weak man. Not authoritarian strong man, authoritarian weak man. And like, he has the opportunity to seize power, but he's not doing it. You know, like, okay, so that makes him not an authoritarian, right? Oh, but he totally is.
No, he's still Trump.
Yes, he's still Trump. Yeah, he's still Trump. He's still going to do this eventually, or he would if he could. I mean, he would do it if he had the opportunity, and he's got the opportunity, but he's not doing it. But he totally would if he could.
Oh my God! So he's a weak man.
Yes.
But also authoritarian, which is
yes,
almost the polar opposite of
yes.
And
he is the God King, and all things are his fault and his doing, but he can't do anything because he's inept and incompetent.
And he hasn't taken over, but he would if he wasn't weak.
Right. Yeah. No. Guys, I'm only kind of paraphrasing. I'm encapsulating that whole thing. Go look up Matt Christensen's channel and his latest video on it.
Fuck.
He does a great job just like highlighting the situation. Makes the people who are so anti-Trump that they don't know which direction to go. Either they complain about the fact that he's trying to take over things, or they say he's not taking things over enough to stop coronavirus. They cannot do this. Their brains can't move in those two directions at the same time without sounding completely ridiculous.
I think Faithless in chat has it right. Trump is failing to be the tyrant they want and thought he was.
Yeah.
Look, he's obviously a narcissist. Nobody can argue against that. He's a child sometimes, but they've been building this up forever. You know, he's going to be president forever. Because remember the jokes he made about that?
Yeah.
He's never going to leave office, you guys. Then how come he's not just doing what we would do if we had that power?
It's the same thing between, like I said it before, there's rhetoric and then there's action. Him talking is just Trump talking. What is he actually doing? What has actually happened? What initiatives have actually been passed? Criticize him on what he's doing. What he's saying is just words, but everybody freaks out or takes out of context or reads between the lines like a cookbook on these things. And they actually look at it as like, okay, so he tried to downplay the threat early on. Was that a mistake? Well, hindsight, yes, it probably was. It was mentioned in the State of the Union address, but there wasn't really a whole lot of action on it after the fact until it became really dire. Only in the last couple of days has he sounded like somebody who should probably have been acting this way a month ago. But okay, better late than never, I guess. I don't know. But in the interim, has he like locked down everything? Has he issued a nationwide quarantine? No, he said, hey, it's up to the individual governors of the individual states that know their situations better on the ground, and every situation's different state to state to handle this, and we will help them as we can.
There's been a lot of 2020 hindsight and Monday morning quarterbacking today about Trump and what he should have done.
Right.
Joe Scarborough got blasted.
I saw that.
Blasted.
Yeah.
He went on his show Morning Joe today and said, everybody saw this coming. No, they didn't. If you actually follow the timeline, Trump's response has been pretty much what you would expect for where everything was. Because, the State of the Union, he hadn't done much. But by the State of the Union, he had already shut down travel to China.
Mm-hmm.
He did that on the 31st. The State of the Union was February 4th, 5th, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. There was already action taken. There's a great thread over on Twitter that lists the exact timeline, starting with the first known cases of this through today of what they've done.
But we need to point out why he did that, though, because a lot of people forget why the first move he made was travel ban to China. What did the WHO say when they announced the fact that they discovered it over in China? Monkey, we talked about this recently. What did they say about the virus? That it cannot be transferred from person to person, right? That's what they said. It cannot be transferred from person to person. So Trump said, okay, well, since it's there and it can't be transferred person to person, we're going to stop, people from traveling over there, period. That was when this all started. Now, I done talked to like 15 people about this. Nobody remembers that. Not a single person.
I know.
That never happened. They never said
Yep.
that. I'm like, that they definitely did. That happened.
It's on their Twitter.
Yeah.
It's on their notices. What was what was the date on that? I want to say March 7th or so. Sorry guys, I can't pull up my Twitter right now because my computer's acting slow and I'm trying not to fuck with it at all, but I will get that for you. They're getting a lot of shit too because they're like seeming to be just a talking head for China right now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff that down the memory hole, if you actually pay attention to what happened, you're right, guys. Trump didn't come out and say, we need everybody to just stay home. And maybe he should have. But if you see what was actually going on at the time, nobody was saying it. You have people in the last week like, we should all stay home. Like, yeah, and you know what? It would have been better if people had said that from the start. Maybe this wouldn't have spread like it did. But the idea that everybody saw this and Trump was just not listening is nonsense. He has these daily briefings with Dr. Fauci right there. Listen to what they say, for fuck's sake. Yeah, fuck. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm done.
This one's reaching back. So again, I'm hunting around for anything that might be news or interesting, and so I'm reaching into the dredges. I go to Yahoo News.
Oh,
you know what their little top alert update is?
No.
Coronavirus update. More than 4,400 deaths in the U.S., surpassing toll from 9/11.
Oh, I did see that.
And I'm like, really? Really? So a natural disaster, effectively, and you're putting that alongside an act of just some people that did some things. That's what you're doing here? Okay.
Well,
then right below that, a big picture of Trump that says, this decision is the height of callousness. The Trump administration's decision to not open a special enrollment period during the outbreak garnered strong criticism from across the Democratic Party. Lives are at stake, unquote.
Oh, God. Look, if you think about it from their position, considering Trump created the coronavirus, then it is kind of still an act of terror.
Well, for those of you who don't know, and Skep Talk just brought it up in chat, Adam Schiff is on the case, you guys. He wants an investigation into Trump's actions on coronavirus.
I had forgotten Adam Schiff existed. I haven't heard his name in so long, I forgot he was even alive.
I still follow the fucker on Twitter, and yeah, he's kind of a douchebag.
Oh my God! How
yeah, we're
going
to impeach him for coronavirus, you guys.
Okay, and I just want to do this.
Well,
sorry.
But before we move on to that, there's also the numbers that have been going around because they announced yesterday. The 100,000 to maybe 200,000 could die. More than double the number of people who died in Vietnam.
Oh Jesus!
Yeah, there's tons of people saying that. Like, oh, for fuck's sake!
Do a multiplier. Do a multiplier of the number of people that died on the Titanic. Just do it. Just go ahead. Yeah,
we got to make it sound horrible, man.
I know it's as relevant. Just do it.
And we all know why. We all know why, because these are all the lines that they're going to be using during election time when it's time. This many people died, and they're going to put it next to horrible pictures of these horrible events that took place. Like, Trump caused this. This is the devastation he caused. It's like, all right.
I just want to do this one thing. I'm not going to read the whole deal. It's actually this is where we're at. I'm reading a blog post effectively from IO9. It says, our fascination with canon is killing the way we value stories. Our fascination with canon. You mean our desire for consistency when you have an established universe or something? That things make sense story to story in an established setting. That kind of canon. I always love when they say, people shouldn't get all upset with canon. Like, Canon is just another word for consistency. That's it. If you don't like consistency in your stories or in your universes or something, well, okay, but most people like things to make sense page to page and chapter to chapter. It's just one of those things that helps a story feel like it's well written.
I'm going to make a request of you, Scribbles.
Oh God, you want
Can
me to
you
say
hold
something?
that? No, can you hold that for fucketry?
I can hold many things.
Because I would like to discuss that more in depth, and it is MSS news time, and
Oh.
I can't do shit. So I'm gonna also ask, could you do MSS news tonight? My connection is garbage. I don't know what they're downloading somewhere in my house.
Sure. Well, Lady Monkey's probably downloading porn.
She probably is. Are
you sure you don't have something running in the
yeah,
background? There's not like Steam updates that go on or
already
something?
checked.
Okay. All right.
I'm all shut down, so it's somebody else in my house. I got to wait for them to go to sleep so I can have good internet.
No. There's always a pillow over their face.
I feel like that would be more trouble than it's worth. That I'll be counted as coronavirus. Ladies and gentlemen, now is your time. If there's a story you want us to take a look at, hit us up at the hashtag MSS News over on the Twitter machine. We can't get to them all, but that's just because Adam Schiff is investigating me.
Okay, well, our first selections come from our friend Frosted Glass. So, Monkey, pick a number between 1 and 10.
Oh, let's go with 3.
All right. Said 2, and I said, okay, high or low. I'm having a life-saving affair, but social distancing is keeping us apart.
What the actual Frosted corner?
At least you didn't say cornhole. Dear How to Do It. I'm having a wonderful affair with a man. We're both married, but we're careful and responsible.
Hold on.
For real?
Hold on a second there. I think we found the first issue.
All right. No, hold on. Okay. I'm going to start over. Dear How to Do It. I think you're already doing it. I don't think you need guidance. But anyway, I'm having a wonderful affair with a man. We're both married, but we're careful and responsible. It's what we both need to survive in our marriages, and it's what's best for both of us. Parentheses, without saying too much, in our situation, divorce would destroy our big, happy, extended immigrant families.
Pardon?
What the fuck?
What?
Oh, hey, let me ask you something. If your families weren't immigrants, however you define that, would it not destroy your family to find out that the mother and father in these two situations are cheating on the other parent? I'm just wondering if what does the immigrant family have to do with anything? And continuing, I'm not looking for judgment on that, parentheses. Then why mention it? Because now
of course you're not.
Yeah.
Of course you're not.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on. The problem is social distancing because of the coronavirus. Our spouses and kids are now both home full time, and getting away to see each other has been impossible. I'm miserable without the sex and companionship, and so is the man I'm seeing. At one point, he suggested meeting in our cars by the grocery store. I obviously declined. Then today, he called me and said to go to my window and waved to me from his car. We live about 2 neighborhoods apart. I was moved by the gesture, but it worried me. I feel like I am on the verge of doing something risky, and all this time with my husband, who is a kind man, is making me want to lash out and tell him I don't love him. What can I do to keep my head on straight here? I would be cast out of my family if this came out, but this whole situation is making me feel out of control. Sincerely, Swelter in Place.
You are a horrible, horrible human.
Wow. You and your boyfriend are assholes.
Jesus Christ.
Good gravy. What the fuck? Okay, now granted, if this is real, it sounds too horrific that it could be some kind of Poe.
That sounds real.
You think so?
Yeah, because especially that part he had me come to the window, because these are people, they're not just cheating. This isn't just sex. These people are their boyfriend and girlfriend and care more about each other than their families.
Yeah.
Um,
They're immigrant families, Monkey.
yeah.
Remember, immigrant families.
What can you do? I mean this sincerely in both the literal and figurative way. You can go fuck yourself. That should help. What's the answer that they give?
Oh, God.
The official answer? Okay.
I need to hear this.
Dear Swelter in Place, unfortunately, we're in crisis mode, which means we have pretty clear-cut choices: survive or risk our lives. In your case, you'd also be risking the lives of the family members that live with you. I hear you when you say you believe this affair is keeping your marriage afloat. Really? Really?
Oh, God.
Did you listen to what they said themselves, what they admitted about what would happen if this came out in marriage afloat? Okay. But now it cannot. In the worst case scenario, you are just going to have to keep your head down and wait this out. Or you can run off with this guy, creating another isolation seal and hoping that both of you are COVID-19 negative and won't infect each other. But you can't have both. It's too risky to widen your contact circle at the moment. Is that really the biggest concern overall in this situation?
Dude.
It really doesn't seem like the time to make such a life change, but if you must because you have the inkling that the world is changing anyway, well, I actually won't judge you for that either. Meditate, work out, focus on what you have and what we have left as a species is my practical advice for you. Find an online therapist to talk to. You can use this moment for self-betterment, or you can be selfish and let yourself spin out of control. Decide who you are and live like it.
You know, I believe we've mentioned this before, at least I have. We need to bring judgment back. I won't judge you for that either. Are you fucking serious? This woman is jonesing for a dick and willing to hurt her family for it.
Dude, that sounded like somebody walked into like villain HQ and was like, I want to be a villain. This is my life and this is my current situation. What should I do to become a worse person? It's just like, here you go.
Yeah.
For sure, on how to be a bigger piece of shit than you already are. It's like, oh, cool, thanks.
This woman needs judgment. Jesus, fuck.
So there are like 3 different advice stories on this or more. I scrolled down. Okay, I'm going to read this other one.
Sure.
And I will preface this by saying I put this under the heading tongue buttering the turtle cave.
Oh God. I'm still blaming you, Frosted. Stay in the corner. Go ahead.
Dear How to Do It. And by the way, those listening at home, on the off chance that there are small children listening, or you're just immature, you may want to turn away now. Dear How to Do It. I love to eat my man's ass, and he loves it too.
Oh, dear Christ.
No, wait. Here it comes. This is even better. It took almost a year and 5 bouts of strep for him to piece together that I get sick if he is not absolutely pristine before I insert my tongue.
God damn it. God. Oh. They eat the poo-poo.
I visited an ENT after having strep 3 times in 3 months, but I couldn't bring myself to tell the doctor what we suspected.
Oh, no.
But the science baffles me. I can't argue with the apparent cause and effect, but frankly, I've eaten a lot of ass, and he is the only one I seem to have this issue with.
Oh, my God. I mean, look.
Hold on. It's not like he has been dirty when I go down, but I also can't imagine how a quick external soap and water helps. I pride myself on a deep tongue. I'm done.
No, you're going to have to finish that sentence.
No, I'm done. I'm finished.
Now.
I'm sorry. Oh, but that's signed sincerely. Prolific rim.
Prolific rim.
All
Oh, Scribe, where the fuck did you take us? Where are we right now?
This is the same page that Frosted sent us. This is slate.com for crying out loud.
Sweet Jesus.
Oh, God.
Scribe, I need you to go sit in the corner too.
I think I do.
For all of you out there who've argued with me on this and been like, no, you can get it perfectly clean. No. Don't lick butthole. That is just that is tongue care 101. Don't lick butthole. Thank you, Joe Faps, for the donation. Says Pacific Rim.
Yes. All right. Moving on. Finally.
Jesus Christ.
All right. I don't know if anything can quite overcome that, but we'll try. This one comes from Massive Dynamics. Martial artist breaks 256 walnuts with his elbow in 1 minute.
Damn. Ouch.
Why?
Probably some Guinness record thing. Oh, what do you know? A martial artist in India broke a Guinness World Record when he used his elbow to crush 256 walnuts in only 1 minute. Guinness World Records reviewed the evidence from the attempt, and announced that Muhammad Rashid had broken the record of 229 walnuts, which was set by Indian martial artist Pabakar Reddy. The record-keeping organization said Rashid smashed 256 walnuts during his December 2019 attempt. Rashid is a multiple record holder, having previously set Guinness records for breaking walnuts with his head, as well as smashing beverage cans with his elbow and coconuts with his head. And now he's got CTE and can't remember how to tie his shoe.
Some of the things that become world records just make me scratch my head.
Hey, you could probably find a world record for scratching your head.
Probably.
Yeah.
That guy hates walnuts.
Yeah, I know. I was like, Jesus, a walnut suck. Ah, you fucking walnut.
Yeah, Cult of Krill, that killed me. Well done.
Wait, where is it? What? Okay, the headline is confusing me, so it must be interesting. This one comes from Shrouded Angel. Shrouded Angel 2. I don't know what happened to Shrouded Angel's original Twitter account. Maybe they got shadow banned or something. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna read the headline. You tell me if it makes sense to you, because I'm still puzzling over it. Man discovers his baby daughter's real dad is boy 13 that his wife babysat.
Oh, dude.
Okay. Okay. It took me a second because the way this is the Mirror, and the way they worded it was kind of confusing. Okay. So here we go.
She was banging a 13-year-old?
Yeah. A doting dad has spoken of his torment after finding out the father of his child is a 13-year-old boy his wife had sex with. Daniel Robbins, 21, said the truth, quote, hurts like hell, unquote, but believes his wife, Leah Cordice, is not a bad person and hopes she doesn't go to prison. She is a bad person and she should go to prison.
Why would you not want her to?
She could be jailed later. Okay.
He doesn't want to watch the kids.
Well, is that? She could be jailed later this week after being found guilty of 3 counts of sexual activity with a child.
Pardon?
That's a very diplomatic saying, child rape. Yeah. Cordice, 20, was the boy's babysitter and had given him fish and chips as a gift for having sex with her.
Oh my God.
I'm sorry. She gave him
hey,
fish and French fries.
If I was 13 and my prize for fucking you was fish and chips, that'd be a good day.
She gave him 2 servings of fish.
I was going to say, you think she's like, does that taste like me?
After her arrest, DNA tests showed the child is 14 million times more likely than not, unquote, to be the baby's father.
Good Lord.
Speaking to The Sun, former apprentice mechanic Daniel said he had, quote, an amazing life with a wife, child, job, and home before the revelations. Quote, all of a sudden, everything I cherished was taken away. My child, my wife, my home, my job. Why was your home and job taken away? What do I have left? It's heartbreaking. Why would you lose your job? Daniel and Cordice met at college in 2015, but during a brief breakup 2 years later, she began volunteering as a babysitter. It was part of the then 17-year-old's work as a child care student in a nursery, but she began to prey on the boy in her care. Why do I think that he wasn't the first one that she messed with?
Mm-hmm.
I'm just picturing her driving around instead of a candy van, it's a fish and chips van.
Let's see. Even after getting back
Someone
together,
make that happen.
Even after getting back together with Daniel, Cordice continued to abuse the boy 2 or 3 times a month. She would send text messages complimenting his looks and claiming she loved him before announcing to Daniel that she was pregnant. Daniel persuaded her to marry him before the child was born, believing he was the father. He told The Sun he had not planned on any of it, but, quote, was sure about what I was doing, unquote, because, quote, I couldn't see myself with anyone else. And so, surrounded by a few friends and family, the pair tied the knot in a local hotel 5 months before the due date before a brief honeymoon in Windsor. The young newlyweds then began getting their rented home ready for the baby's arrival, with Daniel describing the birth as the best time in my life.
Oh, God.
That
Real
guy,
quick, thank you, Havoc, who says, that's why public flogging should be brought back. Dear, what is this, the horrible bitch show tonight?
Yes. April Fools.
Good God.
No. Let's see. I think.
And
Okay.
yeah, somebody in chat said could be going to jail. Yeah, that she better be going to jail for this shit.
So 2 different people sent us the same story. Nailite O'Frith. Little O'Frith. And Jack the motherfucking Cockring. So I'll read this one here. Man intentionally derailed train at high speed in attempt to crash into hospital ship at LA port.
What?
Okay, now I'm assuming this is not some kind of April Fool's joke, as in the story itself, but the website is breaking911.com. So I don't know if this is some kind of, we'll see. A train engineer at the Port of Los Angeles was arrested this morning on federal charges for allegedly running a locomotive at full speed off the end of rail tracks near the USNS Mercy. Eduardo Moreno, 44, of San Pedro, was charged today in a criminal complaint with 1 count of train wrecking as a result of an incident Tuesday afternoon. According to the criminal complaint filed in United States District Court, Moreno admitted in 2 separate interviews with law enforcement authorities that he intentionally derailed and crashed the train near the Mercy. Moreno ran the train off the end of tracks and crashed through a series of barriers before coming to a rest more than 250 yards from the Mercy. No one was injured in the incident, and the Mercy was not harmed or damaged in any way. The incident did result in the train leaking a substantial amount of fuel oil, which required cleanup by fire and other hazardous materials personnel. Why? Do they talk
is there a motive?
When the CHP officer contacted Moreno, he made a series of spontaneous statements, including, quote, you only get this chance once. The whole world is watching. I had to. People don't know what's going on here. Now they will, unquote.
What's going on where?
Moreno stated that he acted alone and had not pre-planned the attempted attack. Okay. While admitting to intentionally derailing and crashing the train, he said he knew it would bring the media attention and, quote, people could see for themselves, unquote, referring to the Mercy. In a second interview with FBI agents, Moreno stated that, quote, he did it out of the desire to wake people up. Moreno stated that he thought that the USNS Mercy was suspicious and did not believe the ship is what they say it's for.
Oh, dear God.
So it's there to, like, euthanize people or something or whatever.
Yeah, the Mercy is the ship, one of the ships that they brought in so that they can have regular patients go there and not have to go to a fucking hospital filled with coronavirus.
Right. Leave the hospitals for the corona patients, and non-corona or low emergency status patients go to the ship. Right.
And oh dear God, Jim says he worked on the Mercy. Wow.
Original Shroom also sent.
What are they doing over there, Jim? Because apparently this fucker knows stuff the rest of us don't.
Yeah, they're putting puppies to sleep when they shouldn't, right? That's what's really going on.
That's what happened to Scribe's dog today.
I know, right? It wasn't me dragging it in my car.
Yes, we need to. Every time we talk about Scribe's dog, we need to come up with a different reason that it died.
Yeah, kind of like how it's like you want to know how I got these scars. It's always a different story every time he tells it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first time it was dragging it by the car. Second time it got captured by the Mercy.
That's right.
Mercy got to it.
Oh, by the way, my dog is not dog, cat, fox. Those are two different creatures.
That's right.
Just for reference, because dog, cat, fox is safe on the moon, where I usually spend my time. This one comes from Fairly Becca. I saw this all over the place today, and people were like, "This is not an April Fool's joke." Truck carrying toilet paper crashes and burns on the Texas interstate. Millions of dollars worth of toilet paper lost in the conflagration.
Oh, dear God. How are we going to survive?
A tractor trailer hauling toilet paper crashed and caught fire near Dallas early Wednesday, spilling the hot commodity all over the interstate. The hot commodity. The fire shut down westbound lanes of Interstate 20 near the Interstate 20 near Interstate 45 in Hutchins, the Texas Department of Transportation said. The driver of the truck is okay, officials said. The toilet paper appeared to be large rolls typically used in stores, restaurants, and other businesses. Texas Department of Transportation officials said the load of toilet paper, quote, burned extensively, unquote. Toilet paper has been in high demand amid the coronavirus pandemic. Producers ramped up production and shipping operations to resupply stores wiped out by consumers buying toilet paper and bulk paper towels in bulk. Yeah, okay.
At least the fire should have burned quick.
Yes.
You ever light toilet paper on fire? That shit goes poof.
Real quick.
That's what happened to Scribe's dog.
Now that's a hot dog.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I did.
I see what you did there.
Now, this one I'm going to read from myself, essentially, because it's amazing. I guess I could have saved it for Fuckatry, but here we are at MSS News, so I might as well. Apparently that link is now broken. Well, then I will just read the tweet. From Bloomberg Business. Breaking, and I want to underline breaking. China has concealed the extent of the coronavirus outbreak in its country, underreporting both total cases and deaths, the U.S. intelligence community concluded in a classified report.
Man, fuck all the way off.
Oh,
like
now
wherever the farthest you can possibly fuck off to, I need you to fuck off to that location immediately.
All right. The story has come up. Let me read the story. All right. China, and remember, guys, this is breaking news. No one had any idea until now. China has concealed the extent of the coronavirus outbreak in its country, underreporting both total cases and deaths it suffered from the disease, the U.S. intelligence community concluded in a classified report to the White House, according to 3 U.S. officials. The officials asked not to be identified because the report is secret, and they declined to detail its contents, except for what you just told us. But the thrust, they said, is that China's public reporting on cases and deaths is intentionally incomplete. 2 of the officials
I'm shocked.
2 of the officials said the report concludes that China's numbers are fake.
No.
The report was received by the White House last week, one of the officials said. The outbreak began in China's Hubei province in late 2019, but the country has publicly reported only about 82,000 cases and 3,300 deaths, according to data compiled by Johns Hopkins University. That compares to more than 189,000 cases and more than 4,000 deaths in the U.S., which has the largest publicly reported outbreak in the world. Trump said Wednesday that China's reported virus data appeared to be on the, quote, light side, unquote, but that he hadn't received an intelligence report saying the country had concealed the extent of its outbreak. Quote, their numbers seem to be a little bit on the light side, but I'm being nice when I say that, he said at a daily coronavirus briefing at the White House. Trump added that the U.S. and China were in constant communication and that Beijing would spend $250 billion to purchase American products. Quote, we'd like to keep it, they'd like to keep it, he said of the U.S.-China trade deal. Communication staff at the White House and the Chinese embassy in Washington didn't immediately respond to requests for comment.
Real quick, Pete, that is very, very generous of you over on the Streamlabs, a donation with no message. A very generous donation. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We've said for a long time, since pretty much the beginning, I did not believe they shut down Wuhan, a city of 11 million with surrounding of 55 over less than 1,000 cases, which is when they quarantined. You'd have to be a fucking moron to believe China's numbers. They've also supposedly just came out, and I wish I could bring up articles. They're now going to start reporting asymptomatic cases because they weren't doing that at all either.
Yeah, and everybody defending like, oh, China's done such a great job keeping its numbers low, and like, why can't Trump do as good as China? And like CNN. I mean, speaking of eating ass, CNN. I mean, how far do you have your tongue up inside Beijing? I just
they have Beijing strep. That's how far they have it up there.
And not just CNN. I'm being generous if I just said it was CNN. No, it's so many other outlets are just like China is some kind of shining example of how to a pandemic. And you honestly, even though we know that they kept the information quiet for 2 months, that they're being honest this whole time, that their numbers are somehow the model for the rest of the world because they say so. Yeah, a totalitarian communist regime is totally being honest with the rest of the world, guys, as we know from previous totalitarian communist regimes when it comes to telling the world information about a crisis that started in their own country, Chernobyl.
Oh, that's a good segue here. Havoc, thank you so much. He says, never trust the numbers given by communists. Remember, even the death toll from Chernobyl remains at 31 people to this day.
Hey, great minds think alike. Because I was just thinking about Chernobyl. I was like, remember when the Russians told everybody, "Oh, it's handled," and then Norway was detecting radiation levels from there. It's just anyway. Okay, I think I'm done talking for a bit.
Thank you guys for all the submissions to MSS News. Wow, that was a weird and wonderful ride. Crazy bitches, butt licking, and coronavirus. With that, we're going to move on to YouTube and Satsu. You all right over there?
No. This fucking story. I'm sorry. You remember how I told you I was like unreasonably pissed off about the whole pretending that Trump made up the whole China virus comment?
Oh yeah.
This story is having the same effect on me right now because there are so many people I've been seeing on my social media. It's like people are claiming it started over in China and they're handling this better than America did, and I'm just like, and now they're just like, the fact that they're coming out like, oh, look at this new thing we just found out. Oh my God, nobody knew. It's crazy. It is making me much more angry than I should be about anything. But I'll recover, I'm sure. YouTube. Yes. Did I do anything today? No, I did not.
Oh,
which is shocking. I actually didn't do anything. No editing, no nothing. I just chilled out today. So no YouTube.
All right. And Scribbles, what about you?
Well, I had a eventful stream experience today. So I decided, as I'd promised, that I would do a TED Excellence stream. And as I also alluded to last night, I did it entirely in my Southern gentleman accent. But 2 things happened that ruined it. One was my fault, and the other was not my fault. First off, I forgot to unmute my mic as I started the stream, and so I was talking to myself for about a minute and a half until somebody in the chat said, there's no sound. I'm like, oh. And so I started over, embarrassed, but the show must go on. And then I got maybe just under an hour into covering the video. I had one person in the audience. I'm not picking on this person. I won't even say their name. I had one person in the audience that was exceedingly turned off by my choice of accent. And so I asked the chat, I said, okay, well, if it's really bothering people, give me a 1 if you don't mind. Give me a 2 if you hate it. And that person was the only one to type 2. So like, okay, I'm going to continue. And it's fine. I love you. Appreciate you coming out. But anyway, so I got through most of the video, let's say about 3/4. And then all of a sudden, I'm kicked out of my own stream. StreamYards had a server crash. I couldn't get back. The stream was still going. Anybody watching the stream could still see like the background, but I was absent. The video I was playing had just disappeared. But I couldn't get back into the control room to actually do anything about the stream for about 7 or 8 minutes or something. And so I could still talk to people in the YouTube chat, but I couldn't actually broadcast anything. And so, that ended that real quick. So again, I want to thank everybody who came out for that dumpster fire. I had at first decided that I was going to unlist that video and not even have it out there, but I changed my mind. It is there if you'd like to watch it, because most of it is still, I think, an okay TED Excellence show, if you can get past the silence at the beginning. I put plenty of notices and notifications on the title and the description for anybody that comes across it in the future to know that, this was a big mess, but it's still there. But yeah, the speaker was talking about how he wanted to find the root of all of these things, and he puts this placard up on the screen or whatever, and it says, Black Lives Matter, #MeToo, heteronormativity, white supremacy, just like everything you can imagine. I'm thinking, is this going to be an intersectional lecture or something? And he says, the root of all these things is greed. And I'm like, okay. And his first premier summary example of what he's talking about is anyone in America or Europe, he said specifically, who advances themselves is doing so by victimizing others and on the backs of others, and is motivated only by greed.
Wow.
And I'm like, so if I try to make a better life for myself, I'm a bad guy. If I'm in America or Europe, I'm victimizing and oppressing others. Then he went on to say, if you're a straight, white, cis male, you control all the money. I'm like, I do. And then about 3 beats later, he talked about how poor white males were being victimized by the billionaire white males. And I was like, but I thought the white males controlled all the money. It was a very ideological treatise, let's say. And so anyway, and I did all of that talking in my southern accent the entire time. People thought, is Foghorn Leghorn talking? Or, hey, Frank Underwood, is that you? Tail Feature came on there and said, Frank Underwood, is that you talking? I was like, that is not Frank Underwood. I did not get this accent from watching Kevin Spacey on House of Cards. I got this accent watching Kevin Spacey in Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which was years before House of Cards. I'll have you know. But anyway, that was my show.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Of course.
This person,
Yes.
where are they from?
I didn't see. He was American, I think. I can try to find out, but he didn't. I don't know.
I see where you're going.
Mm-hmm.
And no, Satsu, there's no contradiction here. It's all true.
No, I just need to ask for my own sanity.
Okay. All right. Okay.
What did he do? Like, what's his title?
Well, so let me find it real quick so I can give you the full truth and nothing but the truth. Let me find the I have it saved here.
Why are you doing that? Hi, baby. Everybody say hi to Lady Monkey.
Hi, Lady Monkey. So he is, and you're gonna love this. His name is Doctor of what? I'm not sure. Dr. Kurt Love.
Kurt Love. That actually
Dr.
sounds like
Love.
a bad relationship.
Dr. Love focuses his work on issues of social justice and sustainability in education. He is currently working on a book entitled Reclaiming Education for Regenerative Sustainability and Peace, a pedagogy of ecological regeneration, social and cultural peace, and economic prosperity, focusing on recontextualizing education in a framework of ecological, social, cultural, and economic sustainability while critiquing the limitations of the current neoliberal context of global competitiveness. Dr. Love focuses his work on issues of social justice and sustainability in education. He is currently... Okay, they repeated the same fucking thing twice. This talk was at a TEDx event using the TED conference. Okay, but where? Do they even say like where this is taking place? It's TEDx CCSU.
Is he giving this book away for free?
I have no idea. What is CCSU?
Because if he's selling it to make money, I mean...
Oh, Central Connecticut State University. Connecticut. Okay.
Is this a white man?
How did you know?
I'm just trying to put all this together.
I'm staggered. What else do you know about him?
So this white accomplished man got on the stage to tell any other white accomplished men that they are all horrible people that have stepped on countless people to get where they are.
Well, okay. Either you are a rich white man, okay, or you're a white man who sees rich white men, believes that you are on the same level as the rich white man because you're both white and male. Therefore, you support rich white men, and therefore you are supporting the systemic structure of oppressiveness that pushes down on women and minorities.
Real quick, thank you, Connor Johnson, who says, have you guys ever seen the movie 12 Angry Men? Yes.
Yes, I've seen the original, which is great, and I've seen the remake, which was meh.
Okay.
I think the remake was okay if you hadn't seen the original.
Yeah, if you didn't have it to compare it to, but the original is like it's sort of like remaking Gone with the Wind. It's perfect, practically perfect the way it is for what it is. Anyway.
Well, the conclusion that I was coming to is that wasn't a TEDx talk; it was a confession.
Well, now Satsu. At TEDx talks, people are never projecting their own insecurities onto the subject matter to sound like they've overcome something, or they're telling people that they're just like them so they don't have to feel lonely and terrible about themselves. You're absolutely wrong. They're speaking truth to power because TEDx is the brand X of TED Talks.
Oh. All right.
That's it. That is the very long-winded explanation of my YouTube adventure today. I plan on doing another TED Excellence tomorrow if time allows, and I think I will give into low-hanging fruit, let's say. And well, I've got two options. I've either got privilege and embracing it for good, or I have let's talk about fat bias and thin privilege. I might go for fat bias and thin privilege just for fun. So. There you go.
I truly don't believe I would survive these things that you do. I admire you, sir. For
I don't know how I do, honestly, but it's a thing.
See, did a game stream last night. Went pretty well. Base is coming together. And then Monkey in the Morning had some fun over there. And then I was looking in my comments, and normally, negative comments don't upset me. If somebody doesn't like what I do, that's fine. But I got one from a supporter of a certain rock aficionado who accused me of lame insults. How dare you? Said that I just call people dumb or ugly or fat or smelly. How dare you? How dare you? My insults are much better than that. Thank you. Go fuck yourself.
That's right.
Go crawl under a boulder.
Smelly motherfucker.
Yeah. Fucking asshole. How dare you? Anyway, yeah, that's all I had. Humpetry time. Satsu, what you got?
Oh boy. Well, to be honest, I didn't really have any fucketry tonight. You guys just gave me fucketry that I am like internally like infuriated right now. I'm trying to keep my cool. but this shit is really fucking with me. That's all I can really say right now. I don't really have anything else because that is dominating my mind at this moment.
Fair enough. Scribbles, what you got?
Well, you wanted me to save that one thing for.
Oh, before you go, Devil Fruit Zero, thank you so much. Usually involves someone's mother. About half the time. That's fair. That's a fair criticism. Hey, look, I have called people smelly, but I actually say they look like they smell like pee. And it's true of some people. Anyhow, I'm sorry, Scribbles. Yeah, I want to save that. So let me go first real quick.
Okay.
I have nothing, you guys. There's stuff over on my Twitter. You can go look at it. But again, my connection is shit. I've barely heard a lot of what these two have said because you guys keep breaking up for me. So I'm not even going to chance going over there. So if you do want to see any of the fucketry I got into, go check it out. Scribbles, did you have any other than that article?
Let's see. Aside from the breaking news China lied thing, which was amazing. Let's see. So Chris Eliza tweeted this out. Devin Nunes needs to stop talking about the coronavirus, like, immediately. And I said, like, for sure. Hashtag Valley Girl on the Potomac. Because Chris Eliza lives in Virginia. That's the joke. Let's see. Aside from that, was that really it? I was busy today. There was that. Cynical Review is another YouTube channel I like watching. This is just a random thing. So it's got a question for you all. It's relevant to my next video. What do you guys think is the best video game movie or movie based on a video game license? I don't mean so bad it's good, like Street Fighter. I mean unironically good. And I said the first Silent Hill movie was pretty good, honestly, in relative terms. The Tomb Raider reboot movie, the one they did just a couple of years ago, was actually not that bad. And Prince of Persia wasn't great, but it was okay. So those are the three that came to mind. I don't know if you guys had any immediate thoughts.
No, I can't think of any, because even Warcraft I didn't hate, but it could have been so much better. And if they spent so much time trying to explain the characters instead of just jumping into the damn movie. No, I can't think of one that wasn't a horrible disappointment. Now, the so bad it's good I can do. That's Mario. That's the best video game movie ever made.
No.
Super Mario Brothers, best movie ever. Satsu, what about you? You're a video gamer.
What was the question again? I'm sorry.
Best video game movie, unironically.
Yeah, so an action. So setting aside that it's from a video game, that the movie itself is a quality movie based on a video game property.
Doesn't matter if it's animated?
He didn't specify, so yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Probably recently, I have to say Dragon Quest, the movie. They it's on Netflix. They released a Dragon Quest movie. That movie was fucking excellent. To me, I thought it was great. A lot of people were kind of unhappy with the ending, but I loved that movie from beginning to finish, and they did an excellent job. It was probably the most effort I think I've ever seen put in a video game adaptation. So that's recent. If I had to pick something before, the Resident Evil animated movies were good. Like the first two were fucking excellent movies. I don't know if I can think of any live action ones that I didn't hate outside of maybe the first Resident Evil movie. I was pretty okay. I was pretty happy with that one in general. But the rest of them were meh.
Fair enough.
And that's effectively all the quote unquote fucketry I had.
Okay, so that article. You want to give us the premise again?
Our fascination with canon is killing the way we value stories.
Saying that is dumbassery right there.
Yeah, in my opinion too. As the pop culture we love becomes increasingly dominated by vast franchises of interconnected worlds and stories. Hold on. Becomes increasingly dominated. Where have you been? Have you heard of Tolkien? Have you heard of Star Wars? Have you heard of Star Trek? Have you heard of Harry Potter? Have you heard of any dozen number I mean, the shared universes and interconnected stories in specific settings have been going on forever. Increasingly dominated. The most popular stories in the world are usually based within or part of, like Dune. What are you talking about? This guy's okay. Hey, remember, guys, nothing happened before whatever 2015 or 2016. As the pop culture we love becomes increasingly dominated by vast franchises of interconnected worlds and stories, so does it become dominated by one singular question from die-hard fans. Is the thing we're about to consume canon to everything else we've consumed before? It's an attitude that's turning our love of stories into some bizarre archival competition.
Well, no. It's asking whether or not it's going to make sense.
No, Monkey, hold on. Canon is not inherently a bad thing, of course. But where's the but?
What?
It can provide structure to chaos.
What?
And it can provide a sense of not just continuity, but stakes as that continuity progresses. Yes, that is all the things that it does, and that is its value. It's not an option. I mean, that's what canon is. Okay. The idea lets characters bear the impact of events on their journeys across not just one narrative, but many, allowing them to grow and change to the point that they might even be entirely different kinds of people compared to where we first met them. Yes, that's how that works.
You can do that within canon. And if you don't, that breaks the fucking story. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. There's still plenty of room for variety and interpretation and even a relatively strictly defined canon. Just look at Star Wars. Yes. You know why? Because, hold on. There are rules established, and moving within those rules allows for a lot of freedom, and you don't violate the rules of the universe if you stay within the boundaries. There's a lot of movement there. It's sort of like, okay, let me give you an example. You know, The Quiet Place, that horror movie that came out a couple years ago. Okay, now the premise is relatively simple. You have monsters who have extremely sensitive hearing and are basically blind otherwise. So if they hear you making noise, they can find you and they will kill you. Very simple sort of rule set for how the world works, correct?
Yep.
However, if you watch the movie, there are several instances where the family does not adhere to this rule in any way, shape, or form, and yet they're not acting any differently as a consequence. And so once you break the rules of your universe, it takes you out of the setting that you've established and puts a big question mark of confusion over, like, well, how does that work? And that's when you've broke canon and you've broken your story and continuity and the logic of your world. Okay, so now Star Wars, for example. Now the Force had some very limited rules, as in, you know why Darth Vader could sense Obi-Wan on the Death Star? Because they had a prior connection to each other. It's not that every Force user can sense every other Force user just blatantly. If you have a connection, that's why Luke and Leia were able to communicate with each other and reach across the universe and all that kind of thing. You don't have omniscience on that. That's a rule. If you have some kind of connection or relationship with an individual who's in the Force, you can sense them within a close proximity, relatively. Also, the Force basically allows you to do mild telekinesis and sort of heightened physical attributes and can manipulate people's minds. That's about all the scope the Force kind of had throughout the first movies. And then you started seeing things go off the rails in the sequel movies, where it's like, oh, now the Force can heal grievous wounds. Now the Force can teleport matter. Like, what the fuck are you doing?
And this is my problem. As soon as you break canon, you are telling a different story.
Yes.
That's why canon matters, for fuck's sake. Yes. If you want your own Force, go out there, give it a different fucking name, and tell a different fucking story, and don't slap the Star Wars label on it.
Right.
Because there are established fucking rules. And Writers, I get it. You want to, oh, but I could do this if things were different. All right, then go write in your own fucking universe. Don't break the ones that people already love.
Yeah, when you're in a sandbox that is not your own, you have to stay within the boundaries. Now, there's a whole bunch of things you can do with that, though, because it's like, okay, again, going back to Star Wars, you have faster than light travel, right? Okay. How does that work? Well, we know it works this way so far as established in the movies. Can you extrapolate something reasonable from that? Sure. Like, for example, when you're going through hyperspace, it's technically an alternate dimension. Technically, because you're moving faster than light, kind of a self-made wormhole. I mean, we have terms for it now they didn't have back then. It doesn't break canon because the mechanics are the same, but you give a little bit of an extra explanation. It expands the lore a little bit. That's what the expanded universe was all about. It's like, okay, here are the rules established. Here are the creatures established. How do you get, what does the planet that Admiral Akbar comes from look like? We don't see that in the original movies, but we can extrapolate from it what it could be. And then you create a whole society of these people on a different planet, and you tell a story about that entire planet that is separate from anything that's in the canon as established, but it is a reasonable extrapolation from what's been established. That's how you work within the boundaries of a setting and not break the rules.
But if you go to his planet and suddenly everybody's there is a white human, it makes no goddamn sense.
Yes.
But it's Admiral Akbar's thing, so we can throw it into the Star Wars universe.
Right.
See, we keep getting this when they come in and change things. Like, oh, what the hey, why do you care so much? Why are you fucking with something I do care about? Go write your own fucking story. Star Trek is probably the worst with it right now, where they just keep changing fucking everything.
Yes.
No, just go tell your own story. I get it. You slap that label on it and it's guaranteed to get you sales, but it's also guaranteed to piss people off, and they're rightfully pissed off because you are taking something they love, stories that were told very well, and breaking them. And you're not doing it for storytelling. You're doing it often to push some stupid shit like, hey, this fucking poor girl who nobody loves can fly the Millennium Falcon with no fucking training at all, although she usually flies a Zippo lighter. I'm sorry, what were you going to say there?
Well, this argument is easily defeated especially if you're talking to somebody who considers themselves a connoisseur of pop culture. All you have to do is ask them, what do you like? What's your favorite show or whatever? And then have them explain to you why they like it. And just say, okay, so what if I decided to come along and take that aspect of the show and just completely turn it into something else? Would you be okay with that? The answer will inevitably be no. And then you could be like, well, shut the fuck up. Wasn't that easy? That was simple, right?
We're the bad guys for thinking it should be the same. Go back to the original Star Trek. The guy who played the little Asian dude. Chekhov.
Sulu?
Maybe it was Sulu. One of those two, whoever was the navigator, I forget. But they actually did their finger movements for when they were like taking off, like, okay, we're going into warp or whatever. And he made sure he did it the same way every time.
Right.
Because that would be how you did it. And it's minor details like that fans pick up on, and suddenly you're like, wait, why are you fucking with this? You don't have to change it. If you can't tell the story within the universe, don't tell that story. Go tell a different one. I don't understand why we're bad. This article says we're ruining it because we want the stories that we want that are in the fucking universe. You can't make a fucking teddy bear movie and call it Star Trek.
But we should be
I don't. It is such a selfish, prickish thing to do. No, look, I deserve to be in your space too. If you like what we did, what's here, fine. Yeah, come on in. If you don't like it, go somewhere else and make your own shit. I hate this kind of shit. I really do. It's like, you're bad for wanting things to make sense. What kind of fucking world do we live in where that's something you can say out loud?
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I don't need to read the rest of the story because it's just like that's basically it's saying that this is canon. Canon's a nice thing to have, but really, it actually weighs you down and everything. Like no. Make your own story.
I can see it weighing you down, and that's kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the point is that you tell the story within the universe that exists.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read better fan fiction for Star Wars and Star Trek than anything that's been put on TV or the big screen in the last 10 years. It's really sad because you know why? It's written by people that care about the source material. Like the first Iron Man movie, in my mind, as a fan of the comic books, as somebody who actually owns a copy passed down from my father of the first appearance of Iron Man in Tales of Suspense number 39, as somebody who's a fan of that character and familiar with that origin story, Iron Man, the first Iron Man movie, is excellent, one of the best comic book movies ever because it respects the character and the source material from which the character came. Does it make changes to update it? Sure. And that doesn't matter because they got to the core of the progression of events for the character and made it work and respected the source material. And then it feels like it fits because it does. It was made by people that give a rip. I mean, if you just want to have a character named Iron Man and then you completely change it, it's not Iron Man. If you want to have a Star Wars story or if you want to have a Star Trek story, but you change everything about Star Wars or Star Trek because you don't like it or you want to defy expectations or like, go fuck yourself. Don't even do it. Why were you hired?
Well, this is why I can't watch Spider-Man movies and not get upset. The Iron Man movie, excellent. I put it top of my Iron Man and the original Captain America movie, the first Avenger. Those two are neck and neck for me. They're
as far as Marvel movies.
Yeah, in Marvel movies. Sorry,
Okay.
Well, comic book movies in general.
Comic book, it's still going to be a tie for me between Iron Man and The Dark Knight.
But when it comes to knowing the canon, as I do, Spider-Man, the origin they gave him in the movies is garbage. It's just garbage if you know the character. If you don't, I can understand. Like Lady Monkey loved the first Spider-Man movie. Was it Homecoming?
Yes.
Yeah. She loved it. And I'm like, that's garbage. That is shit. And it's because they took a character that I know and love and just were like, I'm nothing without the suit.
I know.
What?
I hate that so much. They had to tie it. They had to find a reason that Tony Stark was involved in Spider-Man, and they made it the suit. They couldn't have just made him a mentor or something else, but no, he had to have a super suit that he might as well not even have been bitten by a spider at that point.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Why bother? Anybody wearing that suit would have the superpowers.
Mm-hmm.
He's just a mini Iron Man at that stage of the game.
And then they take him and they make him his father figure throughout the series. I'm like, the fuck are you doing?
Well, they don't have they went the way of, we're not going to retell the origin story again. It's been done enough. And to a certain extent, I can appreciate that. Like when they did the Incredible Hulk movie, they told the origin story in the opening credits sequence. Cause it's like, we're not going to spend half the movie going over this person. It's a familiar story. Everybody knows it. We don't need to do it again. Let's jump into the action. I can appreciate that. But because they didn't, and here's the other thing too, and here's one of the problems, and I want to give at least a little bit of leeway to Marvel Studios on this. There were a lot of elements of the Spider-Man character that by contract had to be withheld from being presented clearly in their version of the movies because Sony was withholding the rights to so many original characters for themselves. That's why Mary Jane looks different. That's why Ned Leeds looks different. That's why Flash Thompson looks different. That's why you had all these minor alterations to things, is because they couldn't actually use the characters or the situations necessarily as depicted in the source material because Sony has the contract and license to that stuff. So what they did with it, I don't agree with. I can understand why they made some of the changes they did. They were kind of forced to. All the same, it doesn't help anything.
You don't make Ned Leeds fat.
Huh?
I said you don't make Ned fat.
Well, he wasn't fat, and he also wasn't Asian. There's like a blonde-haired guy in the comic books who eventually became the Hobgoblin. So
if you can't have him be Ned as we know him, fine. Just don't make him a fat guy. I was just like, are you kidding me? And then they call my name, or you can call me MJ or whatever that shit was at the end.
Oh yeah.
Somebody asked what I thought of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. It's actually probably one of the better Spider-Man, but I hate it for several reasons. One, they're basically retelling the story of the day Gwen Stacy died. And if you're a comic book fan, this is like a holy text.
Yeah.
The day Gwen Stacy died was a fucking amazing book that for a lot of us, when we read it, it was like, oh my.
Yeah, because they never do that. They never kill people.
Retell it with Mary Jane. What the fuck? Oh, anyway, I'm going to stop. Guys, it's your time. If you guys have more to say on this, I'm just going to announce this. Questions, comments, concerns, throw them into the chat now. We'll do our best to answer them. Was there something else you were going to say there, Scribbles?
Oh, I was going to say that as far as the original Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies go, Spider-Man 2 was sort of the Dark Knight of the Spider-Man trilogy because you didn't have the pretense of the origin story and you didn't have the messiness of the third movie. It was, and the character, I mean, I wasn't that jazzed with the way they created Dr. Octopus, that he was, it's all about this, you're a slave to your powers or whatever the heck it is. It's always somebody, anyway. But overall, that was a better representation of the Spider-Man I knew from the comic books, especially that bank heist fight between him and Dr. Octopus and the train fight. All that was just great. All of it was, it's like, that's the best Spider-Man you could ask for on screen. The Amazing Spider-Man movies were absolute garbage, total garbage. And then,
I enjoyed the Amazing Spider-Man ones more because of the Spider-Man scenes. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is not a witty, quippy guy, and they did that with Andrew Garfield. They let him quip during fights, and so that was more Spider-Man to me. But yeah, the movies are trash, absolute trash. Go ahead.
Well, I've actually been sitting on this for a long time. You guys are long-winded.
Yeah, we are.
I'm so sorry. Just yelling. I'll shut up.
It was actually about the canon thing. I just like trying to understand the mindset when you compare it to everything else in life, and how people are just monkey like. Basically, if you think about your wife, like people in relationships or whatever, if this person who you fell in love with was a certain person and you loved them for being that certain person, and then something crazy happened and they woke up the next day and they just weren't that same person at all, like you would be unhappy with that. If you went home to your house that you bought, that you have been cultivating and built in a family in all this time, and then you walked in the door one day and it was a completely different place, like you'd be unhappy with that. Like it's all these common things that people deal with every single day, but they can't wrap their mind around this particular thing. And it doesn't make any sense to me because I'm like, you pretty much tie that to every other aspect of your life. Like it's just weird to see people like puzzled. Like, why do you like consistency in a story that makes sense and something that's familiar? Like that's something to be criticized. It's just odd to me, that whole concept.
Indeed. Cody Fry, thank you. Asks, who is your favorite comic book superheroine, Hillary Clinton or AOC? I've never read either of the books, but based on their personalities, I'm going to go with AOC. She says a lot of dumb shit, and I make my living off of people saying dumb shit. So, okay, let's see. Where are we? Oh, Lords. Where was that? I just saw it. Have you seen Castlevania? I haven't watched it. I've heard good things, but I've never watched it.
It's so fucking good.
I've seen the first 2 seasons. I haven't watched the most recent one yet.
It's good.
All right.
Yeah, I rarely watch anything new, guys. Seriously, I watch old stuff because I tend to fall asleep a lot and can't pay attention. Have you watched Beastars yet? It's like Zootopia, but better. No, I haven't. And it was specifically asked to you, Satsu.
What was the question? I'm sorry.
Have you watched Beastars yet?
No, I've seen it, and there's like a real morbid curiosity, but I don't know, man. It's that kind of weird that I feel like I should be watching alone. It's just like, I don't want people to know I watch this, and I don't know why. It just looks like one of those shows, but I might check it out at some point. B
Junkie asks, who's Gwen Stacy? Spider-Man's second girlfriend. Betty Brant was the first, and that one just kind of fizzled out. And then he hooks up with Gwen Stacy, a sweet, loving girl. He's madly in love with her, and she's killed by the Green Goblin.
Yeah, but Betty Brant would go on to start dating Ned Leeds, who he would become the first Hobgoblin.
How do you feel about the Spider-Verse then, Monk? If you're talking about the movie, I haven't seen it, Into the Spider-Verse. And again, I know people say, you got to watch it. I haven't watched it, and I don't know if I can bring myself to. If you're talking about overall, I kind of gave up on Spider-Man in the comics. Well, we've mentioned it many times. The Clone Saga. Oh my God. Like what are you doing?
Yeah, that's what killed it for me in collecting Spider-Man comic books. As soon as the clone, I got like several issues into the Clone Saga, thinking it was going to go somewhere. I was like, yeah, did you know that the Spider-Man you've been following all these years was actually a fake Spider-Man? Like, what? I was like, no, that completely ruined my, like, don't fuck with the character. It was like the first instance of somebody telling me this character you've been following is wrong. Like, what? No. And my interest died immediately. I was like, oh, well, never mind. It was terrible. I felt bad.
Wikipedia snippet says, living up to your name, Ranting Monkey. Look, sometimes I just can't keep my fucking mouth shut. There's certain things like this, because it's such an entitled bullshit notion. I need to be in your space. You need to alter your... It's the same thing as like when we need to let women into this area and then they have to change it because women are there now. No, this is the space. If you want to come in, you're welcome, but you don't get to change it. Sorry. Infinity War was great, but Endgame felt sloppy towards the end. Endgame was a major disappointment after Infinity War.
Yeah. There were parts of Endgame that were good. Like there are individual aspects of the story that I liked, all right. But I've said it before, and I will say it for the end of time. The interaction that encapsulates the entire problem with Endgame happens near the end in the battle, where the Scarlet Witch comes up to Thanos and says, "You took everything from me," and he says, "I don't even know who you are," and that really says it all about the lack of stakes and meaning in that entire conflict.
That final battle is epic and it's awesome.
Yes.
And
yes, it is.
You have that girl moment that is just kind of silly, but that could happen in a comic book.
Yeah.
That battle's awesome, but it feels out of place even in that movie.
And I will say that, I mean, the one thing that Endgame did do, the only thing that carried Endgame was all of the little payoffs if you've been watching all the other movies. With, of course, the crowning moment being Captain America lifting Thor's hammer. Because, I mean...
left is even better, man.
Was it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Such an epic moment. When he picked up the hammer, that was great.
Yeah, I knew what it was as soon as it was happening. And like a lot of people in the audience apparently didn't get it because they thought like Thor was just calling the hammer over. And I was like, oh, shit. And then, of course, when the camera pans back over, you're like, fuck. I was like, yeah. I was like, yes. And he goes, I knew it. Like, yes. So
because you saw it when he tried to pick it up. What was that in
Ultron? Age of Ultron. Yeah, he moves it just a little bit on the table, and Thor gets all nervous, like what? And there's this fan theory that's the moment where Captain America knew he could lift the hammer, but he faked not being able to because he didn't want to hurt Thor's feelings or do something crazy. So he stopped himself and like faked pulling it after that. Which, if you watch the movie, it actually looks like that.
But yeah, when he's all beaten down, it's just him, and he stands up again, and he's alone and on your left. Like, oh, dude.
Yeah. I
got a little boner at that part. I'm not going to lie. Thank you again, Havoc, who says, people going into the space of others and dictating how things are done is like when an Austrian moves to Germany and tells people what to do. Wait. Yeah. Well played, sir. Well played. Oh, God. It jumped on me. Sorry, guys. And we're very talky tonight, so I will do my best to get through these. I think the reason why I like the last Star Wars movie, because I went to see it as a movie fan. As a movie, it's great, but as a Star Wars movie, it was the best in the trilogy. Oh, of that trilogy, I have no doubt, because that trilogy's ass. I haven't seen it yet, so I've heard that it's just a good movie if you're not looking at it as Star Wars.
I don't know that I could even do that.
Yeah, well, I heard that about Han Solo.
Yeah.
Like, if you just watch it as an action heist movie, it's a great movie. Like, but they called it Han Solo.
Right.
Where are we at here? Oh, Lords, would you try a sweet and spicy gumbo, a fresh wheat roll, and a cherry wine in a crystal glass? No, my glass has to be diamond. Thank you.
Yeah, a diamond glass. Jesus. All right, hoity-toity.
Would you guys try that?
I guess. Sure.
Gumbo usually has seafood in it, doesn't it?
Crawdads, I think, is one of the usual ingredients. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass.
I've heard the term seafood gumbo before, so I'm like, there must be one without it, right?
Yeah, it looks amazing. I'd love to try it, and then you see little fishy things, and then I'm good. If it's April Fool's Day, why didn't you do the format backwards like you did last year? I'm not sure what you're talking about, sir.
I don't know what you mean.
I don't. Yeah. What? Why do people keep saying that? It's weird.
I don't know.
I don't know. Best source for unbiased, honest news. Oh God, I don't think there is one.
None.
None.
You're gonna have to look at a combination of things.
This show.
I mean,
check what we say.
The two places that generally don't put much of a shine, and I'm being as careful here as I can say because it's not a guarantee. Associated Press and Reuters. But you really have to look story to story. Generally speaking, they're very just the facts, ma'am, for the most part. But once in a while, it takes its own course, and it depends on who's writing it. So if you're just looking for some very plain and no frills sort of reporting, usually the AP, usually Reuters. But buyer beware.
Yeah, I just look at different sources, and you can usually find something within them where you're like, okay, there's a difference here, and then go look it up. Sometimes you have to look up the stuff yourself. Supreme Court rulings, that's a good one. And they're really easy because the rulings are posted online, so you can go read it yourself. And yes, it's wordy, but like this says this, and like, does it? And go read it, and like, those guys are fucking lying assholes. Anyway, Wikipedia says, like when Al Bundy built the man cave and when the woman ruined it, he tore it down. Yes, that was an amazing episode. One of my favorites. He finds his dad's hammer and he uses it to turn his garage into this awesome man cave. And he lets Jefferson come in, and Jefferson promises not to tell anybody about it. And then the next scene, there's just all kinds of guys in there. And then their wives show up. And yeah, so he just tears the whole thing down. Beastars, uniquely artistic without being an overbearingly fantasy art house film. Very well done, in my opinion, but kind of turns into a furry show halfway through, Satsu.
And that's kind of what I was afraid of. Like the artwork looks very similar to the show Ajin or whatever. That was another Netflix exclusive. The people who they can't die or whatever. They got those fucking like shadow spirits inside of them, and they live forever. I like that art style a lot, but I'll just have to buckle down and watch it.
Lords of Night, do you remember the campaign by Marvel in the mid-90s asking readers to throw them ideas where they should take the narrative of their books? It sounds familiar, but
yeah, I don't know. I guess it depends. No, I mean, it's like I said, it sounds familiar. You'd have to make. Is there a specific book they were talking about, or just in general? Because I remember.
I want to say it's in general, and I remember I've heard people talk about it. I don't remember it from the time.
Maybe it's a Mandela effect kind of thing.
Yeah. Mata asks, God damn it. Oh, Lords, what are your thoughts on the study of the effects of helium gas on fish and fish tanks?
Ask Sinatra.
That's not what Trump told you to do with your fish tank. Stop it.
Shush.
And that's how Scribe's dog died.
Hey!
The Han Solo movie should have been a Dash Rendar movie. Less expectations of living up to Solo. You know what? Yes. That could have been cool.
That could have worked. Yeah, you take away all the burdens that you would have on a Solo origin story, and honestly, and God, when Kathleen Kennedy says it's not like we have books and things to pull from for this kind of like, I honestly thought she's either an absolute idiot or she's just the worst liar ever. I'm not quite sure which.
I feel like you don't have to choose.
I know. I just holy cats.
I'm still a huge Scarlet Witch fan, and I love that battle with her and Thanos. But I can see why you weren't feeling the scene, Scribe.
Well, no, I love the Scarlet Witch in the movies. I think she's underused. I'm glad she's getting her own show. Of course, we'll see how that goes. But I liked her in the movie. I liked the battle and everything. But that exchange, like I said, it underscores the core problem with that movie, in that the character is dead. The person responsible is dead, and this isn't the person responsible for everything, because he doesn't even know any of the people that are opposing him, and that takes away all the power of it,
all the tension.
Yeah, it's like that's the first time that Thanos has met Captain America. That's the first time that Thanos has met Thor and Scarlet Witch. He didn't take out his sadistic actions on those guys because he hadn't done it yet. He's a character from the past pulled into the future. There's no satisfaction to it. And even though the very last scene with Tony Stark sacrificing himself is amazing, it would have been amazing if they hadn't killed Thanos off in the first 5 minutes. I don't know why they did that. I don't understand that. They could have. Why didn't they build up to meeting Thanos at the end after they? Anyway, it's an old argument now.
Well, they could have done it. Thanos realizes they're going to try to go back in time and stop it that way, and have him still be the villain trying to stop them from going back. Anything would make him still the villain because he's the one that did it. You're punishing this guy for something he didn't do.
Yes, right. It's a very Minority Report kind of situation, and that's what makes it so unfulfilling ultimately.
Angela says, gumbo is rice stew. You choose what meat you put in it, usually some type of sausage and some type of seafood, but people put chicken, duck, lots of stuff. Fair enough. I would try it as long as it didn't have seafood in it. Monkey, what's your favorite episode of Scrubs? Oh, you know what? That's actually easy. You know what? No, it's not. God damn it. There's two. In season 8, there's a episode where there's a guy dying, and JD and Turk are supposed to go out for their steak night. And they find out this guy doesn't have any family, and he's dying that night. So they sit there and stay with him. It's one of those Scrubs episodes, and they did this so many times, where you get both high comedy and just heart-wrenching drama. And that's what they did really well in that series. The other one, it's in season 5, and it's the one where what's her name? I forget. The blonde chick, she dies, and they think it's from a drug overdose. And so they take all of her organs and they give them to people who need them. And it turns out she actually had rabies. And so one by one, the other people die. And Dr. Cox just loses it, man. And it's so well done. And then the episode right after it, there's the scene where JD pulls him back from what happened there. So that whole storyline from that such a good episode. If you haven't seen it, guys, you gotta watch it. Lords of the Night, would you ever eat a snail? No.
Nope.
Yeah. That's disgusting. That's some French shit. Scribe, will you ever get over your dog dying by manually donating the nuke and destroying that asteroid to the tune of Aerosmith?
I'll never stop grieving.
And we've taken it into outer space now, have we?
Well, I mean, it's the only place we haven't gone yet. Well, except for me being on the moon all the time.
Gumbo is an African word for okra. All right.
Okay.
Paige says I need to watch Scrubs again. I haven't watched it in a long time, actually, because I've been on my Married with Children kick, but I fucking love Scrubs. It's so good. Jordan says that episode was called My Lunch. Yeah. That's the one with Dr. Cox. Such a good. Even thinking about it, man, it's heart. There's also another great one where they do the same kind of thing. It's the episode in season 3 with Brendan Fraser, his second appearance on the show and his last. It's very much. What's the movie? I See Dead People. Sixth Sense.
Sixth Sense.
Yeah, it's got that kind of storyline in it, and when the reveal at the end, it's like, damn. But they did such a really good job, just absurd humor throughout the whole thing, and this heart-wrenching thing that goes on with it. Most medical shows tend to be just the opposite. They're either silly, goofy, like the original ER, what was it called? Comedy show, sitcom.
Oh yeah, which also had George Clooney in it.
George Clooney was in it, yeah. And then the new ER, the one that everybody knows, that was just drama the whole time. And it was Scrubs did such a good job of splitting that line. Didn't Stamps kill George Costanza's fiance?
Yes.
I don't know.
Oh yeah.
The stamp glue poisoned her, yes.
Yeah, I remember that. That was funny.
Lords of the Night, did any of you watch My Name is Earl? I tried to watch it, and the first episode I just got kind of bored, so I turned it off. I've heard it's good.
Never watched
At least the first, season or two? Lords of the Night, ever watch Doogie Howser, MD? Yes. I used to love Doogie. I still remember there's an episode of Doogie. It's the only one I remember. A bully at school wanted to fight him. So he finally mans up and goes to fight him, and he bops him on the ears. He just slaps his hands, both hands on the guy's ears, and it pops the guy, and he just drops. And he has to explain how that happened. And I always liked it because in real life, that guy would have just fucking uppercutted him and killed him. Do you like House? I love House.
House is great. It weakens a bit here and there near the very end of the series, but overall, it's a great show.
The last season sucked, in my opinion. But it has one of the greatest last episodes ever.
True enough.
The way they ended that, and the whole season, the whole series, they kind of set it up that House has no feelings for anyone. He treats Wilson like shit.
Yeah, it's true. He really does. But it's a loving shit.
Yeah, he really loves the guy.
Yeah.
And you get to see that at the very end, and it's fucking awesome. Have any of you watched Trucker and Dale versus Evil? No.
Tucker and Dale. And I saw bits and pieces of it at a friend's house once, but I never watched the whole thing.
Satsu, you ever watch that?
No, I've never even heard of it.
It is frightening when a cynical med pro loses hope. You can go to dark places. I imagine, man. I had never thought about that until that episode, because they have a lot of interesting episodes in there. There's one I mentioned the other day. JD gets stuck with a needle that may be infected with a disease. And it was the first time I ever thought about how much doctors, they're around disease constantly. That's got to be scary as fuck. But yeah, and the one with Dr. Cox, My Lunch, that one is like, oh man, I can't imagine being that doctor who, like an oncologist, like Wilson in House. The number of people that an oncologist treats that still just die. That's got to take a toll on you, man. That's got to take a toll. Let's see. Scribe, how did you get over Kevin Spacey killing your dog and sending you its head in a box?
Well, you see, I thought about what I meditated on was the fact that I can get from Boris Karloff to Kevin Spacey in less than 6 moves.
Well, there you go.
Do you want to know what that is?
You've told me before, but
well, Boris Karloff was in The Terror with Jack Nicholson, who was in A Few Good Men with Kevin Bacon.
There you go.
Yeah.
You can connect Kevin Bacon to anyone in Hollywood.
Just
6
about.
moves.
Especially Bernie Madoff.
Pediatric oncology is why I hate intersectionality.
What?
I'm not sure what exactly that means. B Junkie says not disease death. No, I was getting to both of them because they're around disease, which would that would scare the fuck out of me. Be like, I can't come in that room. You're sick. Come back. You don't want a doctor who tells you come back when you feel good and we'll talk. But that would be me as a doctor. But then, yeah, having to deal with the emotional toll of just people dying all the time. Real quick, I want to remind you guys, I will be over on Ranting Monkey Games. Thank you so much for getting me over that 1,000. I'll be there right after this, guys. Playing some more 7 Days to Die. TC Boggs, thank you. Are crawfish seafood since they're freshwater? And if you consider them seafood, does that make snails seafood since they're mollusks? I would say crawfish is seafood. To me, anything that comes out of water like that, freshwater fish are still seafood, right?
Basically, yeah. I never thought about that before, but yeah, I mean, that's all the water food.
Water food, yeah.
I mean, we got underwater forests, so fuck it.
There you go. Does that make snails seafood? Snails, I mean, do most of them live in the water?
There are snails that live in water.
Yeah, there are. You get them to clean your fish tanks, they'll do a nice job of keeping the algae out.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as whether or not, I don't know. I don't know if I'd consider them seafood. How about a maybe?
Some
They're both
are seafood. How about that?
There you go. Name a good movie you thought they miscast the main star. Ooh. I don't know if I can. I don't know.
Well, I mean, the original, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy.
Yeah, you know, that's right. But see, you said a good movie, and I don't consider that one. So,
oh, okay.
To me, if you miscast a character, especially the main character, it ruins the movie usually. Give me an example if you have one, Mr. Scott, and Chad, if you have any. I don't. And I'm up to. We're done with questions at the moment. Throw more questions in there. We got 3 minutes left. If you want to ask, do it now. But holy shit, I don't know. There's I'm sure there's got to be one, but everything I'm thinking of is like that was a great lead. That was I probably could have done with somebody else playing Wyatt Earp in Tombstone, which is a great movie, but it's not horrible,
Mm-hmm.
Frost says a Dark Knight trilogy. I think Bale did okay.
The only thing about Bale's Batman that I never liked was the voice. I'm not quite sure how you could have done it differently, say for doing like the voice changer thing that Ben Affleck's Batman had. Because having a different voice from Bruce Wayne to Batman really was established for the first time in the animated series. But yeah, that always threw me off because it always sounded so cheese. But other than that, I didn't mind Bale's Batman all that much.
Yeah, his voice. I mean,
yeah, the one down thing.
Yeah, but The Dark Knight is a movie about the Joker anyway. So
yes.
Cody Fry, thank you so much. Says The Last Skywalker isn't a good movie, Star Wars or otherwise. Its plot is horribly inconsistent and self-contradictory. The plot armor is horrendously thick, and the only redeeming part is how well they wrapped up Kylo Ren. Again, I haven't seen it, but let's see. I don't have a question. I just want to be acknowledged. I've only been doing schoolwork for 18 hours and I'm lonely. Well, you were acknowledged, Alyssa. How are you doing, sweetheart? 18 hours. Jesus. The only thing I've ever done solid for 18 hours is play a video game and sleep. TC Boggs says Stewart as Professor X. He had the look. I don't know if I don't think you can blame Stewart for the way the script was written.
No, he was. I mean, he was I remember an old copy I had of Wizard, the comic book collectors magazine that was really big in the 90s, and or Wizards or whatever, and they had a dream casting X-Men movie article at one point. This is years before the actual movie happened, and the top pick for Professor X was Patrick Stewart, and I always thought he'd make a great Professor X, and I didn't mind him as Professor X, honestly.
Would you support Grand Monkey becoming a doctor? Of course. I support her in most things she does because she's my little buddy. And finally, James Colley says, what did I do to piss Scribe off?
You killed my dog.
Yeah, leave his dog alone, man.
You know what you did.
You know what you did. But guys, that's the end of the show. Don't forget, I'll be over on Ranting Monkey Games in just a few minutes. Hopefully. Yesterday, man, YouTube kept fucking up. I had to do it 3 times before the stream finally went through. Like, YouTube, fix your shit. But I'll be over on Ranting Monkey Games in just a few minutes, and then Monkey in the Morning probably after that. So, Scribbles, you doing a thing tomorrow?
I am planning on doing a TED Excellence tomorrow, time allowing and everything, because I do have a meeting, a conference call, which effectively becomes a meeting at work, and I don't know how long that's going to go. So fingers crossed it doesn't take too long, and I will notify everybody as soon as I can on Twitter. And also, fingers crossed, StreamYard does not have a server crash again. So yes, that's the plan. Also, I will plug on Sunday over on Irate Prostate's channel. I will be interviewed on his channel at 2 p.m. Pacific time, and so 5 p.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, Irate Prostate does great interviews. He really does. That's one of my favorite. Hey, will you come do an interview thing with me? One of my favorite I've ever done. He's really good at what he does over there. Satsu, anything you're working on?
Yeah, same old shit, dude. Cooking videos, gaming streams, same shit.
All right. Well, with that, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for the donations. You guys are very generous, and I really do appreciate it. Satsu, Scribbles, thank you for joining me as always. Everyone, Scribe's dog being dead makes me sad. We'll see you next time.
Not me. I hate that dog. I'm a cat person.
Scribbles